Hello, hello mga ka-Engoo and Jacko Natix natin dyan. How are you today? So again, this is your Tutor Jacko at your service. All right, well for today's video, it's another Engoo video, another Engoo material, speaking test material to be specific. Because yeah, like I said in my previous videos, minsan when we have this kind of material, parang natatakot tayong gawin, okay? Hindi natin alam kung paano. So, I made this video. Actually, nakagawa na ako ng dalawang video about speaking test. Una kong video ginawa is about the TOEFL speaking test. Ayan, as you can see, there, up there. And also, another video about TOEIC actual speaking tests. Okay, now this time we will be talking about, I know tutors, you are very familiar with this. We will be talking about IELTS speaking tests. All right, so ano itong IELTS? Ano ba ang purpose? Why, most of the Japanese actually are also taking IELTS. So what is the purpose and why does Ingo have this kind of material? You know what, in our portal. So yeah, and that's it. So are you ready? So let's get it on. And so here are your takeaways for this video. Number one, you will be able to know what is IELTS. Number two, the IELTS speaking test itself, and also Ingo's IELTS material. And number four, some helpful tips that can really help us in conducting this lesson. Okay, first things first, what is IELTS? Again, IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System. Okay, so that's IELTS. And of course, IELTS is available in two versions. We have the academic and the general training. So the IELTS general training test is for learners who wish to go to English speaking countries for secondary education, work experience, or training programs. It assesses basic survival skills in social encounters in everyday life and in workplace settings. All right, and also the IELTS academic test is a more difficult exam for those who aim to pursue higher education and professional registration or certification in an English speaking environment. Okay, so that is IELTS. Actually, IELTS, it's like a combination of TOEFL and TOEIC test in one. Kasi yung TOEIC test is for work while TOEFL is for studies. Okay, in IELTS, both academic and general training, especially in the workplace settings. And the two versions share the same listening and speaking components and differ in the subject matter of the reading and writing components. So actually, the IELTS composed of different sections, okay? Writing, listening, reading, and then of course the speaking one. So the listening, reading, and writing components of all IELTS tests are completed on the same day with no breaks in between. And the speaking component, however, can be completed up to a week before or after the other tests. And the total test time is 2 hours and 45 minutes. And this time, pag-uusapan natin yung isang section ng IELTS test, which is the IELTS speaking test. Kasi in Ingo, yung material lang natin is more on the speaking test. Wala tayong ibang other section. Kasi nga, here in Ingo, this is a practice of, the students, how to speak the English language. So yung covered lang ng ating IELTS test in Ingo is only the speaking tests, right? Now, the IELTS speaking test is, or IELTS speaking is conducted as an interview with an examiner. So the session is recorded. It typically lasts 11 to 14 minutes and it consists of three parts. Okay, so this is actually for the actual test. It's like a Q&A. And part one, we have 4 to 5 minutes, general questions on familiar topics, hobbies, likes, dislikes, etc. And then the second part, which is 3 to 4 minutes, individual long term, in which the student is given a task card with a certain topic. They talk about the topic for 2 minutes and then follow up, respond to 1 to 2 follow-up questions from the examiner. The third part is 4 to 5 minutes discussion in which the examiner asks more general questions related to the topic covered in part two. Okay, so yeah, we really have, in this case, guys, Q&A lang siya. And then may follow-up questions. In our case, in the material, I will also talk about it later. Okay, so, and here's the criteria for the speaking test. We have fluency and coherence, ability to speak in a way that is clear, easy to understand, and in a way that shows a clear link between ideas expressed. And then lexical resource. Wow. Right. Accurate and effective usage of the wide variety of vocabulary items, ability to paraphrase. Ganun pala yung lexical resource. And then also grammatical range and accuracy, ability to use a range of more complex grammatical structures, frequency of grammatical mistakes, yan. And pronunciation, clear and easily understood pronunciation, usage of stress and intonation, two, and extra meaning, accurate usage of stress with individual words. Okay, in pronunciations, guys, hindi naman talaga kailangan ng American or British accent. Neutral accent yung kinakailangan, meaning clear accent. So this time, pag-uusapan naman natin ngayon yung Engoo's IELTS speaking test. Alright? So, yung IELTS speaking test ng Engoo is pattern, okay, from the IELTS test. Okay? So, most likely, if the student will book you in this lesson, he will be taking the IELTS speaking test in the future. Alright? And maganda yung material natin sa English, guys. Maganda yung mga materials kasi nga um, ma- the student will really learn, okay, how to speak, how to answer questions. In the English IELTS speaking test, the material consists of many preparation levels. I think meron natang apat na preparation levels. And each preparation is merong 22 lessons. Ayan, di ba? 22 lessons. So, for sure, after the first preparation, ang haba ng mga lessons. So, definitely, the student will be prepared for the speaking test in the actual. All right. And now, the task in each lessons are pronunciation practice, dialogue, speaking test, response, fill in the blanks, describing a problem and giving solution. And of course, andun pa rin yung element na, Q&A. So, kasi in the actual test, there's an examiner who will ask them questions, and they will just respond or answer. And then that's the first actually apat na levels. After that, after completing all levels, the student can proceed to the practice tests. Okay? And the practice test consists of 12 lessons. So this time, ito na yung tinatawag natin na Q&A na, no? Practice test is like a Q&A. And yeah, Q&A. Okay, the first actually in the practice test, the lesson structure, you just need to read the information aloud. Your students not need to repeat after you. And then you will just, inform the student. The IELTS speaking test usually takes between 11 to 14 minutes, like that. And then there's also an instruction there that you just have to read. So in this lesson, your tutor will act as an IELTS examiner and will ask you questions based on the IELTS speaking test. At the end, your tutor will give you some feedback. All right? And then in our material, guys, maganda, okay? Meron na siyang feedback notes. So you know what to critic, you know what to feedback or what to suggest to the students kasi nga meron na. So yeah, in the practice test, actually there are a lot of exercises. For example, in one of the exercises, sinabi dito, let's talk about what you do. Do you work or are you a student? And then the student will answer. Another question, why did you choose this job or course? Okay, so we will not anymore worry for some follow-up questions because in some exercises, nangangailangan siya ng follow-up questions. All right? So in our material, mayroong main question and then after that, mayroong ding teacher's note doon for um, the follow-up questions. Okay, so no need na tayo mag-isip kung ano pang mga follow-up questions. But if you have some follow-up questions, then might as well do it, especially if you have more time left. Okay, and then of course the feedback instructions. Okay, yeah, ang dami na din. Okay, so you can actually, yeah, it's really easy to conduct this test. Parang make Ingo makes our lives easy, guys. Kasi nga, yung material talaga parang andun na. Parang all you just need to do is to really facilitate the learning of the students. Ayan. So, ganon. All right, this time we will be talking about the tips for teaching IELTS speaking. All right? So ano yung kailangan nating gawin o the things that we need to tell the students, okay, especially in our feedback or the things that we would like to recommend to suggest to the students. Importante kasi yun na malaman nila so that they will also learn from you, okay, some inputs from you. Now, the first thing is that advise students to time their answers to make sure they can talk for 2 minutes on a given topic. So aside sa nagta-timer ka, make them also do their own, timer, okay? Nagta-time din sila sa mga sarili nila para alam nila kung lumampas na ba sila or nagkulang pa yung ano nila, yung answer nila. So, ganyan. And remind students to avoid memorizing answers. Bawal pala yun. Kasi nga, examiners can usually recognize whether the answer was memorized and will deduct points in that case. So, malalaman talaga nila if you memorize. Now, teach students to properly connect their ideas with cohesive devices such as but, also, therefore, in spite of, in fact, similarly, for instance, etc., etc. Okay? So, yung cohesion niya. So, dapat yung flow of thoughts niya. All right? And then advise the students to practice planning, making notes, what they want to say before speaking. All right? Their notes must be brief and clear. The ideas must be organized and they must make sure they included all the important and relevant information required to complete the task. All right? So making notes. Maganda din yun. Okay? Making notes. And then help the students prepare for the third part of the speaking test, giving an opinion by reading and discussing news articles. All right? And then advise students to avoid repetition and instead paraphrase and or use synonyms and of course idiomatic expressions, guys. So those are some of the tips, okay, that ano ng estudyante, they will really be excited to hear it from you because it's part of their learning, okay? They will really appreciate if you will, give them feedbacks like this, all right? Feedbacks or recommendations or suggestions like this. And of course, lastly, ito yung kalimitan nating tanong, all right? Are we required to give the band score, okay, for IELTS? Actually, speaking test lang naman ito, all right? And you are not required to assess or score the student during the lesson, okay, or after the lesson, all right? If your student asks for a score, you can say, I can't give you an IELTS band score as only IELTS examiners can do this, but you did very well. Okay? So, ganun lang. Okay? So, hindi na tayo mag-scoring. We just have to really follow the lesson flow. We have to really follow the material. Andun na, specific na yung mga instructions. So, all we need to do is to read and, of course, facilitate the IELTS speaking test material. All right? Well, I think that's it. And I hope guys na meron kayong natutunan from me, no, from this video. Okay. And of course, thank you for watching today. And if you are new to this channel, please click that subscribe button and also that notification bell so that you will be updated of my new uploads. And if you like this video, please hit like. And also if you want to shout out a comment, a suggestion, or a question, about Ingo, feel free to use the comment box below. Okay? I will answer all of your questions. Wala pa naman siguro akong hindi nasagot sa mga tanong ninyo. So keep on asking, wag mahihiyang magtanong. Alright? Well, I don't want to say this, guys, but bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye, mga ka-Ingo and Jacko Natics.